Hey everybody, this is David from davidIam.com, bringing you a screencast today. First time I've ever done anything like this. Probably go pretty rough, but we're going to try it anyway. Just wanted to talk a little bit about Adobe Photoshop Lightroom 3. This is a program I get asked about quite a bit. What do you use to edit your photos? That's the answer. It's about a $300 program. However, you can usually get it on pretty steep discount. It is considered a more professional tool. It's not like Photoshop at all. It is a lot easier to use. It's where I spend about 95% of my time when it comes to editing photos. So head on over to adobe.com and you can get a free 30-day trial, or just Google Lightroom, something like that. I certainly suggest you give it a try. So I've got a memory card in here. On it are some photos that I took last night, and I just was going to go through them with you. First time I've seen them, so we will edit a few and show you how to organize things. I'm just going to start the program. And when you've got your media put in here, it basically starts with an input thing. Way to input these. So these are the photos here. Just going to select them all. Just check those and I name them. Therese playing with car. Okay, we're going to hit import. From there, it loads them into a catalog. So this is a fresh catalog that I'm using just for teaching. As you can see, the number of the photos is counting up, and from here you can organize them. This is in what's called the library module, so you can see in the top right, and then where you edit things is in the develop module. Now, screen real estate is always at a high premium. I'm on a 28-inch screen here, but we always want to make sure that we go to full screen. Don't try and multitask when you're editing photos. Screen real estate's at such a premium. So as these are loading in, we can start to have a look at them. I'm just going to click this button down here, and that's sort of a single view. And I can use left and right and then P and U in order to pick or unpick which ones I think might win. So I'm just going to hit P here for pick. And we're just going to go through these. As we can see in the bottom left, we've imported 50 photos, and I want to get that down to a far more manageable number. I'm not interested in editing 50 photos for you today, so I'm just going to try and rock and roll as quick as we can. So I'm just hitting right, and when I find one that I like the look of, I'm just going to hit P to pick it out. Okay, that's an interesting shot. That might be a winner there. Actually outpacing how I'm putting these photos in. So from here, I can see the P are the ones with the white flags, and I'm just going to sort them by which ones I have flagged. So this brings up my first photo, and immediately I can begin editing on it. So I'm going to go over to the develop module, and this brings up a number of different tabs and panes. I don't need this one. You can always make these go away again for added screen real estate just by clicking them. So here we are. Basically, we start from the top down. We've got our histogram. Hopefully you know what that is, and we're just going to concern ourselves with the basic edits today. So we just click that to drop her down. Now the histogram shows us how much light and dark there is in an image. It's sort of this mountain range here, and there's no such thing as a perfect one, but you should get familiar with that. Maybe I'll do a lesson just on histogram. The main thing I'm just going to concern myself today with is the exposure. So when I just hover over this middle section of the histogram, I can click and drag left and right. I can see that my image started out perhaps a little bit overexposed. I'm just going to click and drag it to the left a little bit. That's good. Now, our first button here is the crop. So this is if we want to straighten or crop it down. So I can see that this image does need a bit of straightening. You can see these lines are leaning over here, and also the horizon line is a bit crooked. This is something I see again and again. Crooked horizon lines drives me a bit nuts. It is the quickest way to lose points in a photo competition, and overall just disorients and drives your viewer a bit crazy. So if I go outside the image and click and drag here, it brings up a more fine grid, and I can use that to orient myself. So I'm just going to align it with the horizon line and with those other verticals that I just discussed. We should be good to go. Just let go of that, click our crop button, and we're good. Now from the top down, as I said, the first thing we concern ourselves is the white balance, so we can click and drag this slider from cooler to warmer. If any time you're editing one of these sliders and you want to reset it back, you just double click it and it goes back to default. So I'm just going to warm this up in order to make it a little more friendly image. Tint we're not going to concern ourselves with until we're shooting in something like fluorescent lighting or a nasty school gymnasium, something like that. Now recovery concerns with the brighter parts of the image. So again, we can just click and drag on the extremes, show that. I'm not going to do anything with that today. Fill light is sort of like an overall global brightness. I'm not going to do anything with that either. Blacks concerns just the darker parts of the image. So again, I just double click on it to send it back. Brightness is going to be certainly similar to fill light. And contrast, that is more closely aligned with the black slider that we did, as you can see. So don't be afraid of these to mess around with them, that sort of thing. Say worst case scenario is, you know, you've absolutely screwed up an image and it just looks ghastly and awful. We can always save ourselves, click this reset button in the bottom right and bring us back to where we were. So what did we do? We just had exposure. I'm going to back that off. I'm going to crop this image down just a touch to straighten it. We were going to warm that up. And yeah, we're back. So we've also got the presence tab here. Clarity sort of gives it an embossed or etched look when it's put to the max, and more Vaseline on the lens, skin smoothing look when it's not. I see this overused quite a bit, but we can add a little bit just to etch out. Just want you to notice the look around her hair, and certainly the outline edges of my daughter's body. You can see how it gives a bit more drama. It's etched out. Vibrance concerns sort of secondary colors and their brightness. Usually preserves skin tones fairly well. So I might pop that up a little bit. We certainly have some nice colorful elements here. Saturation usually you don't want to use when there's human beings present, as it can get pretty ghastly. You might use that more for flowers or foliage or things with a lot of color. So just double click that to reset it. So overall, there we have it. We have an image. We want to see where we were when we started out. And I'm just going to hit, instead of having to redo all those again, I'm just going to hit edit, undo the settings, or on a Mac it's Apple Z, or on a PC it'd be Control Z. And there we go. We're back to where we were. Now if I just bring up this pane at the bottom, I can go to our next image, and I'm actually just going to leave that up there. And again, we're going to do something similar. We're going to back that off a little bit, then we're going to straighten this up just a touch by the look of it. I might even just crop this in a little bit tighter, get that red car out of it. Finish that. I'm going to warm this up, pump that vibrance a little bit, maybe even drop the saturation just a tiny little bit, and yeah, we should be good to go on that image. Might even just put the contrast up a touch. Here's our next image. Just going to back that exposure down like we were. Crop, I am going to crop this, bring it in a little bit. Warm those skin tones up. Vibrance looks alright, we'll just put it up. So I'm just trying to make these photos fairly consistent overall. This is an interesting shot. I was laying right down on the sidewalk to get this. I'm just going to crop that in and see what it looks like. So obviously you can do these things in any order. Like example, I cropped there first. So just back that up. I'm going to warm it a touch. This one is one where we can probably go for the vibrance pretty good, considering the subject is certainly this car and not the people in the background. Okay, on to our next image. You can see this image is a bit overexposed. We're just going to back that off. Start with our crop here. Working top down. Warm that up. Just click and drag it to the right a little bit. Bit of a funny look on her. And let's see what our contrast, just to pop her out a bit. Clarity, we had some good luck with that. Just subtle to the right. Vibrance again. And I was just backing off that saturation just a touch. Just to get that look that I want. And our final image here. Click on it to zoom all the way, make sure that we're working with a sharp image. Oops. So it does look a little overexposed. We're just going to back that off. Looks pretty straight. Not even going to change that. Warm it up. Exposure looks good. We're doing some good work with the old clarity here. Pop that vibrance a touch. Drop that saturation. And we are done. So we edited those photos down quite a bit, and we're ready to go. I can just use left and right to scroll back through, make sure they look sort of consistent overall. This one I think might work better if we just, we're going to crop it vertically actually. So Lightroom's a very powerful program. As we can see, we can go through volume images rather quickly. There is more to it. Obviously this was just the basic tab, but I think that gives us a good introduction for today. Very powerful. You use it as you learn to get comfortable, and you've always got that reset button in the bottom right to save you. For years I didn't use all these tabs. I still don't use all of them very often. As you can see, you can do quite a bit with just that. But we're going to get into making an image black and white, and how to get a little more aggressive and time saving if we have a volume of images to edit. Anyway, I just want to thank you for your time. Hopefully this went well, and certainly give me some feedback if you have a set of images that you'd like me to go through, evaluate, or use as a teaching tool. I'd be more than happy to do that. Please leave comments. Thank you.